Best any of you can do is criticize my methods. My mages died saving our world. What have you given? What have you sacrificed?
Since the moment she became war chief, Sylvanas has been directly compared with Garrosh, and Battle for Azeroth has been labeled as Mob 2.0 before even its launch. Tossing the overall storyline of BFA aside, Sylvanas being an evil war chief has put her in the place of Garrosh in the community's eyes, or at the least for most people. Her fate won't be different than Garrosh's fate. At the moment, we are at the edge of patch 9.1, so what I am about to talk about may not make sense or would not sound like a fresh idea. Back in 2020 May, I have compared Sylvanas with Garrosh, then with Illidan. The Turkish and the original article is from May 2020 and the English one is from September 2020. Both will be in the description down below. In my opinion, the most fitting character to compare her with is Illidan. Why? Well, we will first take a look at back in BFA and how Sylvanas and Garrosh can be differentiated using Sylvanas' attitude against us, the players, coupled with Varrock Saurfan's true intentions about the Horde. Then, we will take a look at back in Warcraft 3, then TBC, then the Illidan novel, and the Warcraft Chronicles, and finally Legion, to understand Illidan's character development properly. In the end, with all the canon lore at my back, I will explain why and how Sylvanas is and will be an Illidan 2.0 instead of Garrosh 2.0. So, let us begin, shall we? Although he is the son of the legendary Grommash Scream, Garrosh should not be compared with Sylvanas at all. Why? After all, their personalities and ideas were completely different. During Garrosh's reign, they had a serious conflict, as Garrosh discussed Sylvanas' methods for creating new Forsaken. He cursed her and left, but their feelings against each other were mutual. Despite all he had done, I still believe Garrosh was a true orc. So, it was pretty understandable his disgust against Valkyr and their reanimation. Garrosh's biggest desire was to create a horde formed by orcs only. After it, his horde would rule Azeroth and crush any stand against them. In his horde, there were no place for any other race. He raised in an environment where the orcs were the superior race, Draenor, and Troll's attitude towards him was not how it was supposed to be. But there are pretty much videos or resources explaining how Garrosh did nothing wrong. So, I don't want to divide your attention. All I want you to know is, I am not biased against Garrosh. As we see, Sylvanas' motivations aren't even close to Garrosh. She never used a dividing language within the Horde. Despite she always mentions Forsaken is her people, she never put Horde into the point, only Forsaken Horde. And no, her conflict with Saurfang during Battle of Lordaeron was not a speech of hatred or something like that.
See it for myself. Was this your plan all along? Is this how you meant to achieve victory? This honor, this travesty?
Honor means nothing to a corpse, Saurfang. You have the luxury of underestimating death. But it is something with which I am intimately familiar. Maybe you don't care if your people die so long as it's honorable, but to me, this horde is worth saving. Anyone who disagrees does not deserve to stand among us. So die your warrior's death, High Overlord Saurfang.
I respect the legendary Horde warrior Saurfang, but what is wrong to lure allies into a trap instead of letting more Horde soldiers die? The Horde were losing the war at that stage, and what was the point to keep fighting? I know Horde's philosophy, but what will be left of the Horde if your faction would face extinction? What was the point? All Saurfang have ever cared for after the loss of his son was to die in an honorable battle, and die he did. Yes, I agree Sylvanas has resurrected Horde's own soldiers during the battle, which was not acceptable neither by the Horde nor the Alliance. But just wait until I explain to you what Illidan had done on numerous occasions to achieve his ultimate goal, defeating the Burning Legion. Turning back on the point, there was one major difference between the reign of Garrosh and Sylvanas: the chance for choice. During Garrosh's reign, all of the Horde players had to be a part of the uprising. In the canon lore, not any hero of Azeroth could stand with Garrosh, regardless of if you wish to stand with him or not, and I am sure some of you would wish to stand with him as Kor'kron soldiers. But during Sylvanas' reign, players had the chance to stand with their Banshee Queen. Not all the players forced to join the uprising against the War Chief. Players who wished to see the evil woman's side could experience it firsthand as a loyalist. While Garrosh's storyline was one-sided, Blizzard gave the player the chance to explore Sylvanas' motivations and ideals this time. So, let's take a look at back Illidan now. During Warcraft 3, Illidan has been shown as a power-hungry edgelord demon hunter who would stop at nothing to gain more power with almost zero context. He made a pact with Kil'jaeden and became a demon himself during that time. He was so close to the shades of black, rather, being morally grey. How about Burning Crusade? We killed him as the final boss without much of a proper reason or backstory. During the time of TBC, he was the tyrannical Lord of Outland, who has been drying the waters of Zangarmarsh and used fell orcs to bolster his army. But first with the novel Illidan, and the details have been provided at Chronicles Volume 3, Blizzard successfully reshaped our perception of Illidan. They turned him from a power addict into an anti-hero. His purpose was to stop the Legion once and for all and protect Azeroth. For these reasons he consumed the Skull of Gul'dan and allied with Kil'jaeden, to get better knowledge about Legion's inner workings. After defeating Magtheridon, Illidan seized Outland as a fortress for his own campaign against the Legion, and especially against Kil'jaeden. The reason why he overfed orcs with Magtheridon's blood or dried the waters of Zangarmarsh was to bolster his army. They were necessary sacrifices in the grand scheme of things. As he said,
that there is no sacrifice too great if it brings an end to the Burning Legion.
Illidan had to sacrifice his own subjects to defeat the colossal Siegebreaker Infernal during the War of the Ancients. And what answer did he give to Kurtalos, who found his ways extreme?
Done! You've killed them all, Illidan! What would you have me do, Kurtalos? Simper and nod to our new Legion overlords as they turn our world to ash? There is always a choice. We could have what? You are blind, Ravencrest. You are all blind! This was one invasion. They nearly killed everyone here and took Suramar! The best any of you can do is criticize my methods. My mages died saving our world. What have you given? What have you sacrificed?
You're a damned fool, Ravencrest! No matter. I've learned all I can from you. We will never defeat the Legion so long as cowards hold the reins. Farewell, and good luck. Perhaps you may fare better begging them for your lives next time.
You may come up with the argument that what Sylvanas had done to Teldrassil was unforgivable and was an act of genocide. Well, did you know to invade Natreza, Illidan lured Maiev to the site where he would start the ritual. Then after the battle, he consumed, and I repeat, consumed the both of his fallen followers and Maiev's wardens' souls to gain enough power to open the path into Natreza. In his mind, it was a necessary sacrifice, and after he get what he came for, the Seal of Argus, from Natreza, he destroyed the planet. But of course, this event has been described in the book Illidan, so I believe most of the community wasn't even aware of this detail. Chronicles Volume 3 explains why Illidan did not bother to explain his goals to neither Alliance nor to the Horde. The Alliance and the Horde were unaware of Illidan's true goal to destroy the Legion, and he made no attempt to tell them. He was almost ready to launch his attack on Argus. He knew that if he tried to explain his methods to the people of Azeroth, they would not understand. Thus, he focused all his attention on his demon hunters and their mission. Remind you anyone?
The Horde is nothing! You are all nothing!
So there it is. The Illidan back in Warcraft 3 was a power-hungry driven character who would stop at nothing to gain more and more power. But now we know he was, in fact, an anti-hero, closer to grey rather than black. Blizzard convinced us in such a way that we all accepted it. We all love Illidan at the moment. Lord Illidan knows the way, right? Sylvanas was aware of how both the Alliance and the Horde are dwarfed by the grand conflict between the cosmic forces, just like how Illidan knew it. Sylvanas did not explain what she knew except Nathanos. Let's imagine Sylvanas explaining her motivations to Saurfang, that she needs to ignite a war between factions so she can feed the jailer with souls, so he can finally break his bonds, so together they can put an end to this prison and break the bonds of fate. How would Saurfang respond? The answer is yours to find. Let us take a look at back how the novel Shadows Rising has ended. And so it did, and so she continued. For power sought power, and she would have more of it, not for its own sake, but to wield it. The unjust ladder of their lives must be dismantled, not rank by rank, but all at once. All of it. She had been the plaything of a self-righteous cosmos long enough. The jailer, too, understood what must be done. Just like how they did for Illidan before, Sylvanas' true goals are still not particularly clear, and Blizzard wants you to believe she is a simple villain. But, as I have said before, this time they gave us the chance to choose Sylvanas' side in BFA. I am sure we will understand that Sylvanas is an anti-hero just like Illidan, and I have to mention this. I have literally predicted in my article that we will see a novel named Sylvanas later in the date, that would explain her motivations. And here we are. A novel named Sylvanas, written by Christy Golden, will be published later in this year. Thank you for watching. Please let me know what you think in the comments below so we can have a discussion. We still have much to talk, so until next time.